Welcome everyone to Hardware Focus UK, where today I will be giving you a detailed and comprehensive roundup of where is best to buy a budget gaming PC in 2025. And of course, based in the UK, it's kind of in the name really, you probably should have worked that part out by now. Today, the candidates fighting for the big spot of best budget PC provider in the UK are Mr. Bezos' Amazon, Currys PC World, PC Specialist, and of course, the good old-fashioned do-it-yourself kind of PC Part Picker, my custom list of the budget we're at. And the budget today, we're going to be trying to stick around the £500-600 mark. £500-600 is kind of that sweet spot where it's not so budget as in like £300-400 that you're having to condense, you're having to buy like 3-year-old hardware or hardware that's really going out of date. It kind of hits the sweet spot for where you're actually getting the great performance for what we're in the UK. So the best performance for your pound. I've never heard of bang for the buck before, I don't know about you. So to start off with the kind of infamous in the UK Currys PC World, or Currys Not So PC World anymore, after the whole rebrand anyway, that's a long story. Now, for budget options, there isn't really many to go for at Currys. I mean, your cheapest starts from £700, which in itself is extortionate, but I recommend for going for the E45 model compared to the E20 model, as for the extra £50 that you're spending, you get a lot more performance. For processor, you get a Ryzen 5 5500, which is effectively a cheaper, underclocked 5600X, which means you're getting the same 6 cores, the fairly same base clock speed, but it's kind of just reduced boost speed. You get the norm at this price point, which is 16 gigs of RAM and a 1TB SSD, but for this budget, it's kind of what you expect. There are compromises to be made. Now the thing is here is that, as well as it being £750, your graphics card, which, just to remind people who may not know about this, is kind of the main power in your gaming PC, is an RTX 3050, which I'm not sure if you're aware, is equivalent to maybe just slightly worse than RTX 2060, which came out 4 or 5 years ago, if my little brain is good enough. Which for £750 really is not what you should be looking for. I have a friend who 3.5 years ago bought a used RTX 2060 for 170 quid. So 3 years ago it was that money, never mind now. RTX 3050 for 750 quid is nowhere near the performance you should be looking for. So compared to its competitors that we'll look at later, it offers slightly more SSD storage. Many of the other competitors have like 500 gig, half a terabyte. It's kind of what you expect, because they're all, and it's important here to mention, actual budget PCs. In my eyes, £750 is not a budget computer. Now, from Currys you won't find any scintillating prices like that, because PCs in Currys Not So PC World are kind of located next to air fryers and Samsung smart fridges now, which are really not ideal when you're looking for actual PCs. Compare this to America, where you have places like Micro Center, which offer pre-built PCs and like all the hardware to your heart's desires. The UK kind of lacks on that department, on actual physical hardware shops, if you know what I mean. Rather ironically, moving from hardware shops to one that's literally you cannot visit, we're going to Amazon, where the options are kind of limitless. But there's one issue here with Amazon. You'll find options that offer high quality gaming performance, with like an RTX 4060, for example. And then you'll scroll a little bit further and realise that it's got like an i5 3400F in, which is just, no one wants that. Unless, of course, you go on Amazon and buy yourself 12-year-old hardware. If so be it. But you're in the wrong place, really. Now, spec for spec, the Amazon PC that I've gone for kind of sits on the same way as the Currys PC one. Same storage, same RAM, same processor, same graphics card. But the only difference here is that instead of the £750 that you're paying, it's £540. Which is 200. It's like you could go to Currys and buy yourself an air fryer for £200 as well as your PC. Go to Amazon, buy this PC, go to Currys, buy yourself an air fryer. It's literally the best deal. I don't understand why people aren't doing this. I've chosen the Ions gaming PC, which I didn't scour Amazon for years looking for this. It was one of the first options that came up. But at this price point, these are the specs you're going to be getting on pre-built PCs. I mean, from afar, something about the case just doesn't sit right with me. You think that it's like panoramic glass, and limitless fans. There's literally fans in every corner of the PC. It reminds me of like a what they call an O11 Dynamic. The old, let's say the old case, the case that came out 2 or 3 years ago, with just fans in every direction. And then you take a closer look and you realise that it's got an Arctic freezer cooler in. So pair the cooler with an exposed M.2 PCB. Leads me to believe that they spent all their money on flashy fans and big glass case, and kind of forgot about the actual PC that's meant to be inside it. PC Specialist is a company in the UK that do sell at Currys. Actually, they offer an £800 budget gaming PC at Currys, which I wouldn't recommend really either. Within the UK, they are quite a prominent PC brand. At this price point, I think it's impossible to even consider them as an option. i3 1400F, 4 cores, right? It performs roughly about the same as a Ryzen 5 3600 in gaming performance, but then you're not getting the 6 cores that the 3600 offers you. So I just put that in the PC instead, really. Like that, as an all-rounder, it's a better CPU than the i3. Moreover, unlike the other options, you get 8GB of RAM, which in 2025 is nowhere near enough to do basic multitasking on Windows 11. I mean, the operating system takes about 3GB alone, probably 4 or 5 in some cases. Pair that with 4 Chrome tabs, and you've already used up all your memory. So I wouldn't recommend that for gaming in 2025. And the only way to make the computer competitive at all on PC Specialist is to remove the Windows key, which kind of defeats the point of buying a pre-built. You'll get a pre-built and you'll go, oh my god, it doesn't work. But you've got to install Windows yourself, which saves you like 90 quid in this case, but may be harder for people who don't want to be doing that. And that's the reason they opted for pre-built. I mean, whilst being the only contender opting for Intel in our lineup, this uniqueness doesn't exactly give it scintillating performance, does it? No one in 2025 should be buying a computer with 8GB of RAM, never mind a case that offers about as much character as a Vauxhall Corsa. I mean, with a Windows key, it's a £700 computer, which is just pathetic as a budget option. I mean, £600 once you removed it, but even then, it's not one to be considered. Moving on to our third and final option now, we're moving on to a parts list that I've configured to people who believe that they can build their own computer. I mean, I built my computer when I was 12. Maybe look into it a bit more. Now the thing is with computer building is that people get really nervous about, oh no, if something goes wrong, there won't be a warranty. But the thing is that each component does have a warranty if you don't buy second-hand, obviously. It's a lot more of a faff. Each piece of hardware's like manufacturer to find the warranty and to find the support that you need. Because if something goes wrong, that's when shit really hits the wall. As you'll see from this list, as many people do when configuring a budget computer, for gaming specifically, the largest percent of your budget has to go to your graphics card. That's your main workhorse in getting frames, even though people believe that it's RGB. Which, to be fair, it probably is. So compared to the other lists, who've gone for a 3050, I've managed to weasel in an RTX 4060 into this budget, 240 quid. It's literally half of the budget, but it will offer you so much more performance than a 3050 would ever do. Now, with that comes some compromises. The same CPU, the same SSD, the same 16GB of RAM. A case that doesn't exactly exert personality, but the thing is, that doesn't matter because you've got a bloody 4060. And that means that unlike the other computers, you won't just be sat there on Minecraft on your render distance of 4 chunks staring at nothing but blue sky. You can actually play 1080p games at probably ridiculously high frame rates, and even entry-level 1440p games at 60 FPS on a 4060 is easily doable. Which means that you can sit and watch my videos and play games at the same time. What more could you possibly want? So, finally, what's my judgment? What do I believe that the people of the UK should go to buy their budget PC? Well, I think off the rip, immediately, we can discredit both Currys and PC Specialist. To pay £700, or over £700 in Currys' case, for a computer that has in 8GB of RAM for PC Specialist, and very, very unremarkable specs for the Currys PC, is kind of just a discredit to the nation, as I would call it. Both these manufacturers have failed to squeeze every piece of performance for every pound they've spent, which has meant that the hardware you get is just subpar in every category. I'm not going to strictly recommend any PC from Amazon, because with all of those unknown sellers, you are taking a risk. Like, any of those PCs, if you open the back, could have a ticking time bomb of a power supply, which they've decided to remove some of the budget from, and I really wouldn't want you to be making a decision that literally blows up in your face a few years down the line. So therefore, especially, and I mean especially emphasised by the low budget. Building a computer yourself is by far the best way to get the most performance from your pound. Now, this does mean that you need to develop the skills you need to actually build a computer, but once you've done that, I think the actual product of your hard work will be worth it. And like I said before, if I could do it when I was 13, you can do it too. So, this has been Hardware Focus UK. If anything like this, if anything this video struck you and were like, damn, that's amazing, tell me in the comments. If anything was like, that could be better, tell me in the comments. I'm all open to feedback. So thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy. Leave a like if you did, leave a dislike if you didn't, and just subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Thanks for your time.